1 Samuel 28, I want to read you the first 7 verses. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare, to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore will I make thee the keeper of my head forever. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits, and wizards he had taken them out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came, and they pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw that the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. You see, he's afraid because he saw something. And because he's afraid, he begins to tremble. The tragedy of this is it says that he inquired of the Lord, but he didn't really inquire of the Lord. He asked a very quick question with a very low volume. He did not really want the answer. He was not willing to pay to hear it. It was cheap and it was fake. He really didn't want to hear. He asked because he wanted to be able to say that he did ask. That's all there is to that. Then said in verse 7, Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit in Endor. And the story goes on, how the woman raised up a demon from hell, dressed up like Samuel, and how Saul sat for that, a man that knew God. These two inquiries are different. When he inquired of the Lord, he gently, hardly asked. But the inquire here that is listed, that I am going to inquire of this witch, it's a different inquire altogether. What it means is I'm going to bow my head. I'm going to bend my knee. I'm going to do whatever she says, and I'm going to worship her. I'm going to pay to find out what she knows. Very different inquiry. Extremely different. One required he seek from the heart a hidden revelation that we had learned of before, to truly seek. That's how he should have sought the Lord, but he didn't. He sought the witch that way, in a worshiping way, in a seeking way. I want a revelation that's held in the inner heart of God, the very truth of God. I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to put my time in for it. I'm going to count it valuable when I get it, and I'm never going to let go of it. It's going to be mine, and I'm going to get it from God, and I don't care what it takes. I'm going to have it, and I'll draw closer to the Lord from it. He didn't say that. Verse 5 says that when he saw the Philistines, that he was afraid and his heart greatly trembled. Understand what this is telling us. This is telling us he was looking for something. His whole body, his whole spirit, his soul, every revelation he ever had, every thought he ever had was wound up in that moment. I see the Philistines. What will I do? I see something I'm afraid of because my hope is not in God. What I see is scaring me to death. What I see is going to cause me to have a physical manifestation. I'm going to be afraid. I'm going to tremble. I'm going to fall. I'm going to make an error. I'm going to worship a witch because I'm afraid. He was afraid because what he saw with his eye, he kept in the physical and did not turn it over to the Lord. What we see with our eye, you're losing your job, you're losing your loved one, you're losing your home, you're losing a friend, you're losing a marriage, you're losing your fortune. What's your eye looking on? It'll make you afraid. It'll make you afraid. And the next thing that happens is you'll tremble. And there's a witch, oops, right around the corner. there's always going to be somebody taking a bath. You know what I mean? You got to be careful. There's always a cave around the corner with the witch tucked away ever so gently there. We've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. Look at verse number 7. His quest fails because he does not come how he is supposed to come. His fears provoke him greatly. It's a horrible thing when you count it that this is Saul, once the great and mighty king. Then said they unto his servants, he says, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go and inquire of her. This is King Saul talking. This is the first king of Israel. This guy is supposed to be a big guy. He's supposed to be a big deal. 2 years into his reign, he begins to have problems with jealousy. That's what takes him down. Clean and simple. That's what did it. And every other problem he had stemmed from that. He had many troubles. That was the mother. That was the mother of them all. He says, seek me a woman. He doesn't say, get me a priest, get me somebody, get me a godly buddy. He says, seek me a woman. When we're wrapped up in our own fear and we're trembling, we want to seek something that doesn't look like God. Who do you think put that witch there? He did. Who do you think knew where she was? He did. He was in charge of such things. His heart was never sold out to God because he had a witch in a cave in the corner in the back. When you've got a witch in a cave in the corner in the back, man, you don't have to get real with God. You've got another way. You've got another way in your back pocket, and at any given moment, you can do it. I almost learned my times tables. But then they invented the calculator. I don't need to know them now. When there's an easier way, you take it often. Seek me a woman, he says. I just want a woman. Seek me a woman because I'm afraid. Seek me a woman because I don't know who I am. Seek me a woman. There's a battle. I see the Philistines, man. I can see the whites of their eyes. Seek me a woman. What am I going to do? I'm the king, but seek me a woman. Seek me a woman because I'm not man enough to be a man. Seek me a woman because I'm not brave enough to be the Christian I'm supposed to be. Just seek me a woman that's full of the devil. And I don't care if her evil touches me. Just seek me a woman. And when you find her for me, then I'm going to worship her. Just get me a woman. Just get me a woman. Just make sure she's wicked enough to help me. That's all he wants. He goes from inquiring to God to seek me a woman because he was afraid of the war. He wasn't prepared for the war. He didn't understand what the war was. He saw the Philistines and the army was great, to be sure. Do you know the Philistines are the first ones that created iron? They had weapons that Israel didn't even dream of. These were bad guys, and they had giants. There was a lot of them. It wasn't just Goliath, you know. That's why David had 5 stones. Goliath had brothers. Big people with good weapons. And you got a little king shaking in his boots, crying to a woman. Well, isn't that a sad story? Then he says, not any woman. Give me that woman that's in the back there. Give me the woman that's full of the devil. And he keeps on. Seek me a woman. That's all he wants from this point. He wants a demon-possessed woman to help him. When you want a demon-possessed woman to help you, I have news. She'll always oblige you. Whether it be on a rooftop or in a cave, she'll always welcome you. Whether she represents your own lack or your own foul desire, she'll always welcome you. The woman here represents anything that you hold higher than God. Seek me this and seek me that. Inquiring of God is too hard. I'm too tired. I'm too grief-stricken. I'm too horrified. Well, you better get over yourself. You have a lot of problems, don't you? Maybe you forgot that when you don't righteously seek God, that you automatically seek something else. We got to seek something. When we don't seek God by default, we seek something else.